welcome back. We're here to do your zodiac sign for the month of June 2023. Yes, we do cover this content monthly, and we also cover the twin flame path at Yildiz Readings 5D on YouTube. If you want this content ahead of the crowd, pre-released a week ahead of the crowd, you can get this in a YouTube membership. All information is in the box directly below, depending on where you are listening to this. Now, how this update is going to be formatted will be as follows: the astrology, the 5 must-know transit aspects, the moonology of how it's going to affect your zodiac sign, and really touching base with these energies into the moon energy, and then into your love zone for singles and couples, career and business, as well as education if it is there astrologically or psychically, wealth potential, wellness, and then summing up key areas and any tips I feel I have for you. Without further ado, let's quickly look at the 5 must-knows that are happening astrologically and how it's going to impact your zodiac sign. Number 1 is Saturn in Pisces will be moving retrograde from the 17th of June. Now, Jupiter also last month moved into your zodiac, and big horizons are going to be expanding, big changes personally. And yes, Jupiter does expand things. So we will get into that in your wellness sign, of tips of how to alleviate that situation and put it to good use. Also, Pluto is going to be retrograding into Capricorn on the 11th of June. Mercury also, and I keep referring back to the past, so let's just sum up the past. Number 1, we had an eclipse last month. Over the last 2 months, we had eclipses. We also had a new moon in Taurus, and we did have Mercury retrograde in Taurus. So for your zodiac sign, you may have felt quite pixelated, pulled back and forward between directions, maybe up in your head quite a bit and feeling a little bit tense. Neptune in the month is going to move retrograde, and that can create intensity, but it's also a dream state. So we'll have Saturn retrograding, Pluto moving back into Capricorn on the 11th of June, Neptune moving retrograde on the 30th of June, Venus entering Leo, where it will later retrograde the following month, but we will get that shadow energy blast from the past. Now, where does this link for you? And how do you directly unpack this situation and work with it to the best of your ability? First and foremost, number 1 is Saturn and Neptune moving retrograde for you will link to your 11th house of friends, wealth, career progression. This can be lady luck and abundance. This also can be the restrictions, the limitations. So Saturn restricts things in. You can be saving, you can be getting into a financial routine, you can have a lot of burdens on your plate, you can be reviewing those things. Sometimes it's something as simple as the buck worth the grind. That can be under reflection and under review, and you can be reworking those areas. You also could be very social. This also can be joining gyms, exercising a lot, getting a lot of things done. I would say with Saturn, be careful because it can link to bones and teeth. And it can be where you are feeling quite strict and rigid. And it can be that either your friendship groups are kind of reducing, the good old saying, less is more. It also can be your associations and the people you're mixing with. Are they like-minded? Are they taking you to your dream, or are they deferring you from your dream? Conflict can be there, but you will be reflecting upon it. Also, if you are working in career zones, we're going to link that further into the mix, both with your wealth, your career, and your social aspirations. Now, as Venus goes retrograde, you are a Venus sign, and Venus has been really up in your grill quite a bit, both for your image, your beauty, your feelings, your love life. Scorpio really was hitting your love zone last month, and there could have been some wounds that came up. There also could have been a lot of chemistry between you and a love individual. With Venus moving retrograde, this can be later the following month, bringing up subjects towards family members, home, your physical environment, changes in that dynamic, beautifying it, the likes and dislikes you have. This could be with family members and differing value systems and belief systems to do with you, your love interest, your path, what you do with your life. But you also could be looking at saving for a house and what you would need to do towards it. But definitely family, home, motherhood, all can come under this realm. Now, how do we deal with these transits? Number one is when Saturn goes retrograde, you can be looking at your social responsibility, rules, restrictions, regulations. You could be looking at loans and paperwork associated to such, but you're going to find in the retrograde any recovery and repair, it's going to alleviate some of that stress, and you're going to be reworking those areas, and it could be quite innovative. Neptune also, a warning sign for that zone could be to protect yourself with crystals, but we'll get into that with your wellness. But if I forget, we'll mention it now. You can use tourmaline, you can use onyx, and try to avoid pacifiers as possible. You're going to be very sensitive to vibrations, and you can particularly, especially if things were going awry for you and you were feeling quite fatigued, nightmares and things to that degree can come up. So it's a little bit like eating chocolate before bed. The Neptunian energy can come through and give you nightmares. So clearing the home, using crystals to protect yourself, being in awareness that during its retrograde, you can have massive revelations of home truths. This can be with friends. This can be with your roles in community groups, your social crowd, your standing in hierarchy, and you can feel disillusioned. But you also could have a breakthrough and have like an aha moment that does bring you a grand idea that can work so much better than what you're currently doing. Pluto also in its retrograde will affect your 9th house. This can be values, spirituality, religion. It could be litigation. There could be an old circumstance that needs to be revisited with a family member. This could be a sibling member, and there could be some conflict that's unresolved that comes up in this department, especially to do with marriages and, a past tense person, if you separated from them or you'd been considering separation, that also can come about. Career transitions, education, higher education also can come up, but it's unfinished business. There's unfinished business here in the mix. Be ready for it. It can take you by surprise. Venus, on the other hand, I would say where it does come to mother energy, heart chakra, looking after your wellness in that zone, looking after stress levels with your children, with your routine, with your home environment. Good time to do a clearing in your home. Not a major time to, like, if you were transitioning home, it is a potential. Some of you could have people moving in, people moving out, looking at your future, saving for a goal. You will be looking at this over the next few months. Where it comes to love, also, it can be moving in with each other. Something in the mix is changing in your home environment with family, routine, the things you do for other people, monetary related dynamics, value changes in the mix, and you are going to be quite assertive. Now, the moon energy, before we get into your romance house, let's look at the 2 moon phases of where it's hitting for your zodiac sign. The first full moon can be a bit purgatory, particularly because it's coming to a head. Heightened energy tends to come from a full moon. You tend to find, like in hospitals and, with the police, you tend to find it's heightened energy. So they've always said that they will have more intakes during that time, more dramas of a full moon. And, it's almost like a moment where the gods could be crazy, and it's heightened energy. Now, Sagittarius. So the full moon's going to be in Sagittarius on the 4th of June, 2023. Some of the areas at a collective level can be education, travel, foreign countries, foreign food. We can be attracted to spicy food, herbs, spices, European kind of undertones, but something with flavor and body, something luxurious and Jupiter in nature. This could be gurus, religious gurus, religious beliefs, divorces. It's collective energy. I'm not talking about yours yet. Travel industry, trade, education, siblings, boats, growth. All of this is coming to a head, and it can be even the expenses that we are experiencing at a home-based level and at a personal level within our own physical lives, how we're coping with those stress levels with finances, how we're dealing with them. Now, for you as an individual, this links to your 8th house. This would be an old situation wrapping up. This could be for those of you in a partnership that their income is changing. This could be to do with legacies and inheritances. This could be to do with intimate wounds, being 8th house. You can be really looking at paperwork, tax, debt, intimacy, great time to get fem checks done, especially if last month you felt something was off, something inside your body, something that you felt you needed to change in your diet, nutrition, or checkups. Always use your intuition and follow through and get professional advice. So income can be changing of a partnership. It could be the money that you're getting. It could be the cost of living. But I definitely feel we're going to be stabilizing things. There could be some repairs that you need to address at home. This could be with white goods, or could be a change of school for your children. Could be a change in feeling with your siblings. And with your home environment. So pretty tense time, but it is going to bring in a new chapter. And this can be relating to wanting to go back to study, training individuals. It's Jupiter in nature. So it's expanding your horizons. You could also be moving and going to a different country. Now, new moon in Gemini on the 18th of June, 2023 is going to signify a brand new start. Moon can relate to mother emotions, intuition, feelings. It's a heightened time. Both new and full moons, endings and new beginnings. A brand new chapter is here for you. This will link to your income stream, professional resources, or personal values. So what can that look like? It could be your assets. It could be an income stream that comes in. You could be signing on the dotted line for a home and increasing your values. Again, it can be technology. Gemini can be technology. It could be a new vehicle. But I feel it is also your assets. So it could be pay rises and things to that degree if you're putting your best foot forward. Saturn is that you are going to be working hard for that. And if you do, you can find, with reflecting upon what changes need to be made, you can make a transition, and slow and steady will win the race, but the hard work will give you benefits. At a collective level, it can be to do with social media, a daily routine, physical socialization. You could have change in friendship groups. That does come about during this time. Now, let's look at your star sign, both psychically, astrologically, as to what is going to happen in your romantic sector. Now, yes, as you are a Venus sign, already you were getting the precipice of change last month. You might have had love on the back burner for quite a bit. And look, be it you were in a relationship or you weren't. Because our South Node is currently in Scorpio, there is some sense of liberation coming where those changes internally that you have been going through, singles and couples, you are going to be coming out of the woodworks in the next 6 months. Now, it's not to say it's not happening already. Generally, it was maybe the carpet was ripped out. You had some revelations. Maybe you haven't addressed them yet, but you could have been addressing them over the last 2 years. That pressure point is coming off the back end, and there might have been a lot of trauma that came up last month for you. Now, Pluto ingressing back into Capricorn can be that you are reevaluating your values, who you're attracted to. You can be attracting people from the past. You can be, it's funny because usually we'd look to a Venus retrograde, but here in the mix, and I so physically, psychically predict that with Capricorn wrapping up between now and next year, we are really having those individuals from the past come back over way over 20 years ago. So we won't need just Venus retrograde for that. We have Pluto there. And these are intimate wounds and feelings, either at the psychological subconscious level, or it's going to be physical people. Okay, so don't be surprised if physical people from the past come back and you're having to relook at that circumstance. You could feel, and I don't know why I see psychically a T-section in the road. There could be a left or right for you guys, both singles and couples. I do particularly feel you are, going to be working towards goals and changes. You also are going to be very bold where it does come to family. They may have ideas and ideals. You could be very giving, but you also are going to be quite firm. Those of you that have children also can be quite firm with these individuals, trying to get into a structured routine, having heart and love, but also addressing things in different ways. With mother energy, this also can be so, especially if mother energy was experiencing some unwell dynamics, you will be giving energy to that individual. I do feel, I'm hearing the term home is where the heart is. This is a very interesting noise going on. Apologies. So, love, I would say, do particularly see yourself getting to a point you're going to be more assertive, you're going to have more confidence. There could be some self-esteem issues that do crop up. You may feel very nervous about having brand new beginnings. If you've been thinking about this, singles and couples, for a while, some things by July could come to a head, especially if you've been very unhappy with the status quo. Those of you in a romantic connection, I do feel that there is an opportunity here to bridge the gap, an opportunity to check in with where you're going, what they're doing, what you're doing. Are your dreams in alignment? There particularly could be some subjects to do with your partner's income that is changing, and there could be a new chapter in the mix. They could be dealing with an old debt, gaining new employment, gaining new income coming in. But I also see for you, there is a large opportunity here to get your financial stability back on track. Romantically, I do see it to be quite passionate. You're going to have to be extremely organized. And a lot of your physical routine is really set to change, and you're going to have the confidence to jump in the deep end. There could be a potential of children, but I think this is coming later in the year. So if that's something you're not ready for, be careful. Career definitely for you is looking like you are reworking the financial compass. Okay, so creative processes, home-based businesses, and side hustles can do quite well. If that was something you wanted to invest in, really reworking it and looking at how could you balance your routine. I definitely feel you're working towards your dreams. You also need to be very, very realistic about how much stress you can actually put on your plate, and if you have the confidence to deal with these things. I do feel there's going to be an expansion, and that expansion can be in your own life. I also feel there are risks of values and belief systems and taking things personal, but I definitely see a lot of you wanting to upskill. If you are doing such, this does look like a 1-year upskill. So it can be moving into education, educating others, taking on superior roles. This could be driving. It could be working on social media. If you do want me to look at your career, you can come through and book a private reading, be it's a video, Skype call, or telephone call. Great time to advertise, especially looking at different ways you can implement those things. Those of you in a career, if you are unhappy, this can be a time where you are addressing how to redirect it. And you can find that a lot of these things over the next 6 months can alleviate for you should you wish to make those changes. Pay rises also are possible. So in the mix of money, I do feel if you do put your best foot forward, there is going to be a reshuffling of your wealth. Where there could be some added expenses are at home. I also feel you could be upgrading of assets. This could be getting a new vehicle. It could be getting a license. It might be getting signing contracts for a home, for property. Definitely a lot of spending towards mid-month. I would say leave a little bit for later. The other thing I would say is friendship. You know, knowing what I do feel some of you also in career can have a restructure within the industry you're in. And it was so funny. Some of these cussing words come into my head all of a sudden. I was like, whatever it is, for those of you who that relates to, I think it must be a very frustrating situation. So if that is happening and there's restructuring, tune into where you fit into the mix. You know, I was coaching an individual yesterday, and I remember saying, look, you know, sometimes we're looking in at this absolute mess, and, you know, we're trying to do the best, and the, you know, the good guys are getting in trouble and the bad guys are just, you know, in total denial. And it's like, just accept the status quo. And if you feel you don't see yourself in that situation, really liberating yourself out. I do feel there can be a limitation where it does come to what you're doing, but I feel it's more the sacrifices you're willing to make for your goals. I don't feel it's that the permanent pinch is going to be there. I feel it's going to be, especially if you are going for loans or anything to that degree, I would say solidly read the fine print and know what you're committing to. Could you be going to a higher level of employment and gaining more? Yes, but there's going to be more restrictions on you. It's going to take you to your dream, but you could particularly find that it's restricting you. Some of you also with wealth are going to put it into your wellness, your home. Some of you also are going to be paying off a debt or even having lotteries coming through. There's lady luck there of the moon, the full moon. The other thing I can say is there can be some subject matters really happening around joining the gym, having large investments, or having large projects that you're wanting to undertake. Now, as to your wellness, be careful of pacifiers. Number one, Jupiter is beautiful, but Jupiter can cause some problems sometimes. And it's usually because we have these expansions of horizons. Some of you can travel. Some of you also may become quite spiritual in nature. It is your personal experience that you are going through. And so just be in awareness that sometimes we can take it personal, sometimes we can project out, but it also can within our body make us quite susceptible to energy. As we do move towards July, the North Node is going to be covering your 12th house, and it is helping you at a psychological, spiritual level deal with some of these things. Now, it's not to say this month that can't come up for you. There can be, almost second guessing yourself, patterns, habits, self-thoughts, poor self-talk, fear about the future, fear about your capacity. You also could be quite intuitive. The further into what we call in the spiritual community, your ascension path you go, you'll just look at life very differently. You'll look at it from a different perspective. You'll know when to help, when you need to step in, when you need to help somebody, and when not to. You can have some personal challenges where it does come to maintaining expansion, and that can be because Jupiter expands things. So because it's in your first house, I'd say you're going to have horizons expanding. B, you could be absolutely obsessed about your image and critical on yourself or feeling overwhelmed, and it can cause weight gain. I'll just say I had it transiting through my 6th house, and it was health related. Whatever it touches. So one way you can counteract it is wear loose clothes. Pour that energy into your creative processes, and then it can expand that and not us. Not that that helped me, but from my experience, you can use that to aid it, but it also can build muscle. So if you are joining the gym with the 11th house and you're looking after your bones, you're making sure you're stretching, it can expand your horizons. I would also say from a spiritual point of view, being an empath, you can have that happening too. You can personalize things and feel people aren't accepting you or loving you. And the acceptance always will come from us first. And then it will be like water off a duck's back. But initially you can take things personal, and you may be more protective of yourself. Because ultimately you're perfect in all forms, but we don't necessarily feel that when we go through certain aspects. I would say also be cautious of pacifiers and how we ground ourselves. What are we doing in our day-to-day routine? Where is the direct pressure coming from? How can we tweak it so that we can alleviate some of that stress? And instead of getting stress and using pacifiers to deal with our social experiences, we can actually find healthier ways to deal with stress and live our best life. Use crystals, be in self-awareness, journal if need be. Definitely a great time, to get into preparation mode. If something comes up this month and something's been niggling at you for a while, book a coaching session. Know your limit, know how far you can go. And if you felt, gosh, I've really been struggling psychologically, it's a good time to organize that, because you will have the North Node transiting over your 12th house for a long time, about 2 years, 2.5, I think it is. Or is it 18 months? It's a long time, right? So if you can, and it's been a bugbear and you've been worried, scared, angry, mad, just invest in self and know that it's not permanent. It can be dealt with. Exciting things can happen with the 12th house. Very psychic energy can happen. And it is all perfectly part of the puzzle in astrology and part of it from a spiritual point of view. So, no, you're not crazy. It's just energy. Be open to all the beautiful opportunities. So, let's sum this up. Neptune, use crystals, clear your home, big changes surrounding family and home. You are going to be more assertive. You can be more loving and heart centered, and you're putting your energy in towards your passion and your desires, beautifying your home, beautifying you, wanting to love yourself up, and wanting to honor the true things that you're wanting to fight for. That can be in love, career, friendships, and more. If you do feel that you are going to extremes in certain areas, try to be a little bit like a Libra and find that balance. That may mean removing certain individuals from your life if you feel they don't directly resonate and they are taking you further away from your path than directly to it. You may be at a T section in the road this month where it does come to love and contracts. That's okay too. Tune into it and reassess. Those of you that do meet new individuals, be flexible and experimental with this, but also look at how you feel in the good, the bad, and the ugly as we transition through. Because, yes, for all of us, those blasts from the past or memory systems are set to return. I wish you the best. I hope to see you again next month. If you do want a booking, you can go to the link directly below or get this pre-released in our YouTube members hub a week ahead of the crowd. Take care, beautifuls.